welcome back to the Corporate Burnouts. Hey, Mandy, how are you doing?
Doing so good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm excited. We have another guest with us today.
Yes, we do. We would love to introduce you all to Alana Lerch. She is a change coach and she helps people with finding their passions. Maybe it's finding a new career, maybe it's finding something outside of the career. And her story when we met just was so cool. And I knew that everyone needed to hear about it. So, welcome to the podcast, Alana. We're happy to
Thank
have you
you,
here.
Mandy Squared. Good to be here with you both.
Mandy squared.
Yeah,
I like
usually
it.
we're Mandy 1 and Mandy 2, and of course I'm Mandy 1. Just kidding.
Okay, I'll have to
Okay, but I
remember
used
that.
to be.
I know. Yeah, in corporate she was Mandy 1
We
and I was
swap
Mandy
girls.
2. Yep, but then I got here first for the second part.
Yep.
All right. Well, we would love for you to tell everybody about your corporate story. Where did you come from? What did you do? And what made you end up leaving?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a bioengineer by trade, and I spent a lot of time at Monsanto and Bayer Crop Science in the St. Louis area with global transformation. So, really helping the company adjust and get more tech savvy and also help people go along that journey. And I did the same thing at Washington University. I was a director of innovation and learning and led a team to develop a new software system to help them stay in touch with their alumni and potential donors. So, really, after being in corporate for about 20 years, I started getting this inner calling that I was not in the right place and spent a lot of time interviewing for other roles that were exactly the same. And every time I got out of an interview, I'm like, I don't want to leave. I don't want to stay. I don't want to continue in this line of work. So I actually resigned from my job kind of cold turkey, which really shocked my friends and my family. Did not shock
Yeah.
my husband because we, of course,
Because you
talked
talked about it.
about it.
I thought you were saying that it shocked him. I'm like, girl, you were like, I am done today.
Yeah, no kidding. Guess what, honey? No, we totally aligned on it. But I think, a lot of people that are in our inner circle are like, oh my gosh, you're so successful. Why would you leave? And it's like, it was not my calling, and I just need time and space and a little bit of recovery to listen and decompress and heal, and the path will unfold for me. So I actually took about 8 months for really self-discovery, exploration, healing, brainstorming, journaling, and then my path started to come together for me.
That's
That
amazing.
is really, really incredible. Like I will tell you that, for me, and I would imagine a lot of people out there, like, I wouldn't have the guts to do that. Like you leaped in with some blind faith that everything was gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Can't
I think
relate. I
I
need
think
to
we
know what's next.
I gotcha. I gotcha. That used to be me, I would say. And I think when you get to that place where you're so exhausted, for me, I just felt like, oh my gosh, my health could take a turn. I'm just really not feeling this. I need to listen to the signal before I end up in bed, just like
Yeah.
totally off my feet. So I think for anybody it takes courage to make a big change. And sometimes you don't need to know what that is right away. You have to take the time.
Absolutely. I was just thinking that I am very happy where I'm at. Like, I feel great about
Good.
where I landed, but man, I kind of want to take 8 months and find myself, like not think about
Yeah.
work and just like journal and like figure out exactly who I am because I jumped from a corporate career into owning a business and I think I know who I am and I'm really happy in my life, but it's like, do I?
Good.
Because I've always had a big job attached, right? Like it's become
Mhm.
my identity in so many ways, right? Just like you said yours kind of was. Everyone was like, "But you're the successful one and you make the money." And and it's like it's not worth it sometimes.
If I'm not
Yeah.
happy, the money and the title is not where it's at in life for sure.
Yeah.
None of that matters if you're not happy.
You bet.
That's incredible. So why don't you tell everybody where you settled, right? So you found yourself and I don't want to say settled, but where you got to after that 8 months. Tell everyone what you do now and how you figured it out.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a career coach and I started my own business called Change Raven Career Coaching, and I help professionals through career transformation. And so, really, how I landed on that was thinking about all of the mentorship and coaching I've had in my past and what was really helpful and also what was missing, and landed on a place where I knew my passion and my purpose was around helping professionals develop in their careers. And I wanted to take it kind of outside of the corporate lens and not go into businesses and train people or do an HR role. I wanted to use my empathy and intuition and really my core strengths that weren't really appreciated in corporate and figure out how I could help people one on one. So I actually took an entrepreneur class and defined, my target customer profile and how I could leverage my strengths. And I think that was instrumental in really building my business and making sure I'm talking to the exact people that I want to work with.
Yeah,
Super
your
cool.
target audience is really, really important when you have like such a specific niche like that. So brilliant for you to do that on the
Thank
front end
you.
instead of figuring it out as you go along, like a lot of people do when they're starting businesses. I'm interested to hear, like, when you talk about all of those signs and like having to listen to that inner voice in order to leave and make that change, like what sort of signs and symptoms were there? Like what was the voice you were listening to?
Yeah, I'm so glad you used the word voice because that was exactly it. What I was finding in my last few years in corporate is when I was talking in meetings or trying to influence people about change, my throat started closing up and I would like have to cough or take a drink. And I thought, gosh, am I just dehydrated? Am I not getting enough sleep? What's going on? And so I actually did a lot of yoga and hypnosis and like this Watsu therapy and learned that my throat chakra was blocked. And if you're into this kind of stuff, your throat chakra is your energy around like communication and your truth. And what I boiled it down to was like, I was not speaking my truth. I didn't believe in many of the changes I was supposed to be influencing. And my body was acting up and telling me, Elena, this
Yeah.
this isn't what you want to be speaking. And so I think I like tuned into that and then started exploring why that was happening and how to clear it and watch it happen today. But believe it or not, when I'm coaching or in meetings, my throat does not close up anymore. So I'm always very thankful for that healing process.
That is
So
so wild. Like, I think if I were experiencing that, I don't know that I would even connect the dots that one had anything to do with the other. I mean, and maybe you wouldn't either, but you did a lot of work to kind of figure that out. But our bodies are strange, right?
They'll talk to us too. I know a
Yeah.
lot of people have migraines or leg cramps or
Uh-huh.
something like that. And it's like, I think if you ask questions and also go to people that specialize in that sort of thing, you can begin to uncover. And even if you don't have it pinpointed, you're better off than where you started.
absolutely. So I was actually going to ask you when you started to talk about that, that was one of the kind of symptoms of knowing that things weren't going right. I was going to ask you if you had done any Reiki because we had Kalina on just a couple weeks ago and she talked about your chakras and like it is so crazy how our bodies speak to us and that's
Yes.
incredible to me. I love everything about that. I really do.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Reiki and yoga, and sound healing is another cool one where the gongs play the frequencies of the different parts of your body and like really help you release any blockages or energy.
Yeah,
All of that is very interesting to me. I have zero experience and I'm like, is that real? Like, does it work? But like every person that I've talked to that has any experience with it swears by it. So I'm like, maybe I'm the only one.
100%. If you are in Abilene and you know somebody who does Reiki or any sort of their like energy healing, they need to reach out to Mandy because she needs your help. Because I know like a
Mandy,
Yeah.
too.
hundred people, I know 100 people who can do that here in St. Louis, but we need to
Yeah.
find people for you in Abilene because
It's so
it's
funny. Mandy's
incredible.
like calling card, putting it out there. Mandy Holt needs to be healed.
Yes,
Her phone
with
number comes
energy.
across the bottom of the screen.
Right? Yeah.
Give her a
Call
call.
now. So funny. I mean, just to experience it too, right? Like, even if it doesn't solve the world's problems, I just would like to experience it. So, yeah, if you know anybody, send them my way.
Mhm. I
You
love that.
bet.
So, um, our listeners, most of them are here because they have experienced burnout or they are currently experiencing some sort of burnout, or they're trying to avoid burnout in corporate. So I would love for you to tell me, what signs of burnout did you experience and how did you know it was time for a change? And we've kind of talked about the things, but like what other stuff made you know that you were just completely burned out?
Yeah, I would say I started losing touch a bit with what was going on with my family. So when you think about the life of a working mom, sometimes it's like drop the kids off at before care at 6 a.m., get to work at 8, work 8 to 5, come home, put dinner on the table. And I really missed that deep connection with them besides the pack your lunch, get dressed, all those like
Yeah.
Mhm.
tactical things. So I think that was one sign that I had. The other sign was my voice. Feeling very tired, no matter how much I rested, was definitely a sign. And then also feeling like no matter how much work I put in, not seeing those results really disappointed me as a professional because when you think about it, if you leave your pets and your plants and your loved ones at home, you drive somewhere every day, you want to like get some wins. You want to feel good about what you're doing. And if you have the kind of work day where you're in a lot of heated discussions and people are change resistant, it's you drive home at the end of the day and it's like, what is this all about?
It doesn't feel worth it. It doesn't feel
Exactly.
worth what you just sacrificed, in essence, to, go make a difference if the difference wasn't made for the day.
Yeah, and if you're not growing, right? I think I had this
Mhm.
sense of stagnation, and I would say a lot of people that come to me feel this sense of I'm plateaued, I'm not going anywhere, I'm not learning, and that makes me ready for something more. That, imagine if you're like stuck in 8th grade for your whole life, right? You're going to be like,
Yeah.
okay, I got it. So if the company or the organization you're at isn't providing opportunities for you to grow, you have to figure out how to take it on yourself or how to do something different.
I think it was really
Agreed.
damaging for me to feel like I didn't outgrow my job at any point. It wasn't about that, but sometimes I felt like I was wasting my time. And it was only once in a while. It would feel like I was made to do something for optics or for, and I felt like I was wasting my time. And if you pull me away from my family, if I miss something important, if you have wasted my time, like it makes me insane inside. And
Yeah.
that will rush me straight to burnout if I feel like my time is being wasted. Especially we traveled for work, so we were away from our families and our people a lot, too
Hmm.
much.
Lot.
Yeah. And so when you've wasted my time, and especially people who they only did that once in a while, like I only felt that every once in a while, but some people do that every day. They're like,
Yeah.
this is for nothing. Why am I
Every
pulling myself?
meeting, every discussion.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
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 just keep doing it.
yep, and that will create the most resentment and burnout that you could ever. I just can't imagine if it had been more than it was, because it was
Yeah.
only every once
Resentment
in a
is a
while.
good word. Yeah, resentment's a good word because I think that burnout, if it turns into like, I resent my workplace, right? I don't know if I ever had that feeling, but when you think about a resentment, it's almost like you've lost that trust with where you work, and it's very hard for them to get you back. It's
Mhm.
like something has been severed, which makes me think of the TV show Severance. I don't know if you've seen that on
Haven't seen it, but I want
Apple
to.
TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's all about, like, severing your work life and your personal life, and there's no common thread in between, and people get themselves into all these mix-ups with their coworkers and at their home life, but I think it proves that our lives have to be intertwined
Yeah.
between work and home, where we
Yes.
are one person, and we
Well,
have
yeah,
to
you
figure
don't
out how to
get to be
balance it.
like, we literally are one person. You don't get to be two different versions of yourself and then try to, like, it doesn't work that way.
Well, and
Yeah,
from that show, you learn that it is not a good thing, like, 'cause some people would be like, how cool would that be
exactly.
Yeah.
to not think about work at
Sign me
home
up.
and to be able to focus at work and not feel any guilt because I'm doing one or the other. But that show shows that that is super broken as well. But such a good show. Everyone should watch it.
It's amazing.
I'm
It
gonna have
is.
to look at it.
You definitely do. All right. So I would really love to talk about, you were able to leave you were able to leave and find yourself, and you had a great amount of time to do that. And that, I hope you feel lucky that you got to do that,
I
because
do. Very
it's such
blessed.
a blessing. But some people can't leave. Right? They're like, I have to stay in this, and it's not fulfilling me. It's my job is never going to fulfill me, and I can't leave here because I make too much money. So, how do people find passion and just feel better about themselves outside of work? What do you recommend?
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked that. So, I think the first step I would recommend is a self-reflection on why do you need the change? Because the answer to that question is going to help you define what those next steps are. So, why am I looking for change? Why is this not working? And as you mentioned, it could be something like the hours are too long, right? And so the solution for that could be different than this work is not fulfilling to me, and then I need the change. So definitely
Yeah.
that first question, why, is super important. And then thinking about what's in it for me if I get this change. Because some people maybe think that, okay, if I could only work shorter hours, or if I could only make a little bit more money, but then you get that scope creep where that is realized and that doesn't still resolve the problem. So I think you can't really act on a change unless you understand what's behind it. And then I definitely recommend really opening up to journaling, writing yourself some positive affirmations, posting a visual cue on your refrigerator to really help you stay connected to what your why is, really will help you fuel that momentum forward. And then for me, I found a few accountability partners along my journey. My husband was very supportive. I also had a trauma informed coach I was working with to get over some work trauma that I had experienced. That was instrumental. And I think just letting your friends know what you're going through as well. Like, hey, I'm thinking about a big change. What do you think? And use them as that sounding board to have the conversations about this isn't walking away, this is walking towards something new.
Yeah.
I think are first really good steps to take.
Love that.
This is so interesting. And I find it like, gosh, you don't even know how lucky you are to
Mhm.
have had the time to really
Mhm.
think through what it is that you wanted to do and like how cool the path that you chose put you in the driver's seat to help other people navigate what it is that you were experiencing in that. And, I think I love that you talked about finding the why and, why you need a change, why you're doing what you're doing, like what is all of this for? But when it comes to being in that place of burnout or needing a change for whatever reason, and you are coaching somebody through that, do you think that the answer typically is about finding work that you're more passionate about, or is it detaching from that a little bit and finding something in life that you can be involved in and be really passionate about?
Yeah, I think it's different for everybody, and in some cases the balancing act maybe is home, because both of you had mentioned like working and traveling and putting your family aside. Especially as women, sometimes we're yes people and we say yes to volunteering at the school or to the community. So I think sometimes it's not necessarily leaving your job to find that balance, but really setting some boundaries on where you can say no and thinking of your time as a piece of pie. And you always have to leave some for yourself. You have to leave overflow time. So many of us kind of run from place to place that I think there can be passion outside of work, and really finding out, instead of just signing up for a running club or starting to do yoga, what is it that's missing in your day to day? What energy are you looking to? Are you one of those people that need to like decompress and maybe yoga or meditation and reading is helpful? Or are you the type of person that had such a stressful work day it needs to come out through like running or singing or going to a loud concert or something like that? So I think really tapping into creativity and knowing how can you feel more seen? How can you feel more connected outside of work? And what are a few ideas to try?
Well, I think
That's
that's really helpful. It sounds like you have to go on a like whole journey of self-discovery to figure that piece of it out.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think sometimes in life we think like, oh, I got to go full fledged into something. but just try it. And if it's not your thing, like that's
Then
totally
don't do it
cool.
again. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give yourself a freedom to play and experiment a little bit.
Yeah, it's all so smart because I think that we all just think about like this is something that I like to do. And then but it might not be what you need. I heard someone say on another podcast that they were like trying yoga and meditation and all of these things because that's what everyone says makes them feel better. And then they're like I needed the complete opposite. I had never heard anybody else besides her and you say that. Like, think about what you actually need. I know that I need a slowdown. Whenever I'm feeling
Hmm.
overwhelmed or work always makes me people so much. So I know what I need I need quiet things. I don't need more
Sure.
things that are going to take me out of the house or to people too much. But some people don't understand at all what they need. And that is huge to ask the question. You might like to read, but it's not what you need, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's
And
so
if you
smart.
are one of those people that can't figure it out for yourself, you're like, I don't know, do I need yoga? Do I need to go for a run? I guarantee if you stop and listen to yourself while you're doing one of those things, you will be able to tell probably almost immediately if it's meeting a need or if it's not.
Yeah.
So just listening to yourself.
Do you feel better afterwards, right? So
Yeah.
I went to a Cardinal game last summer and I was like, that was awful. That was way too many people. I don't think I'm a
You're like, that's
baseball
not the
stadium
one. Got it.
person. Yeah, like
I'm not a baseball girl.
there
Mhm.
you go. But yeah, after the activity, be like, was that cool? What I saw, how do I
Yeah.
feel? And if it's not, I think the older we get and more mature, it's like not my thing. Our
Uh-huh.
friends will still love us, our family will still love us. But if Cardinal games are not your thing, go Cards. I love you, but I don't want to
Right.
go walk into your stadium.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
I
watch
don't
the
need
game on
to.
TV and turn the volume down and not have to people so much.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, I completely agree. I have a question because some people are are maybe fine at work and they have passions outside of work, but they have lost their identity a little bit in their job, right? They feel like they are their job. What do you recommend to people to figure out their own identity outside of work? And or rediscover it. Maybe their identity has settled in as mom, right? It doesn't just have to be about
Yeah.
Mhm.
work. How do you help people rediscover their own identity and purpose?
Yeah, absolutely. So, one way that I do that is to assess strengths. So, I think being a motivator and a coach, it helps to align with people knowing like what they're really good at. And so, I do a strengths finder assessment with clients, and actually, anybody can do it. It's the Clifton Strengths Finder. You can get the book on Amazon. And I think finding out what your top 5 strengths are. So, for example, for me, strategic thinking and innovation are 2 of those. And then really aligning on, am I using those at work? Am I using those with my family? If not, what are some hobbies or activities that could help me tap into that? Maybe there's a podcast on innovation, or maybe there's like a tech startup in the city that's looking for volunteer positions, something like that. So I think aligning on what things you're good at and how to lean into those. And then the reverse of that, maybe like make a list of the things you really don't like doing during your day. Can you delegate it? Can you hire it out? Can you stop doing it? And that's going to leave you more room for those passion areas.
We talked about that just a couple weeks ago on an episode. Like, what can you delegate so that you can focus on things that you want to do? Because
Yeah.
you shouldn't feel like work sucks or that your life sucks. You know what I mean? Like, you should be focused on things that you
Yeah,
want to do because we're in charge of our own life. So
you
Yeah, I
I
like
bet.
the
love
way
those
that she
tips.
framed that though. Like a couple of episodes we were talking about, delegating things that maybe are not the meat and the potatoes of what it is that you're doing. And delegate where you can so that you can avoid the burnout. This is more like, what do you not enjoy doing? It's not necessarily like what's the most important or whatever. It's like what's not feeding you on the inside, and can somebody else do it? And I think that that's really smart. From a professional perspective, I don't know that we talk enough about like loving what you do. And I don't mean like the overarching picture of like loving your job. I mean like, what are the tasks that you do? I love to put things on a list and highlight them off. The highlight gives me joy.
Awesome.
So sometimes you will catch me writing things on a piece of paper that I already did just so that I can highlight it off. But like, what are those things, the tasks that you do that you actually enjoy doing that are probably bigger than highlighting a list?
Sure.
And which ones are sucking the soul out of you, and can you give them away? Because, you know, the things that are sucking my soul dry are things that Mandy lives for, and we feed off of each other in that way
Uh-huh.
a ton, that you do things that you are really good at or that you really enjoy doing that I'm like, you can have all of that. I don't want any of it. Let me do this part. And you're like, great, that frees up so much of my time. Like,
Uh-huh.
being able to work in an environment with partners and people who are looking at what you enjoy and what feeds you makes a huge impact. I don't know that it's always possible or as easy in a corporate environment just because of the innate structure of it all, but man, that's a really strong point that you drive home. Like, delegate what you don't love to do.
Yeah. And at
It's
home
really
too,
easy to be
right?
happy.
Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
we are completely capable of cleaning our own house, right? But we all hate it. Every single person who lives in this house hates it. And so we hired somebody, right? That is worthwhile to spend the money on. We I mean, we would have a jungle if we had to mow our own lawn. And so we pay a neighborhood kid to do that, right? And these things, they are things that we could have done, but they make us sad and we don't want to do them. And it's worth our while
Yeah.
and it saves us so much time to do other things that we actually enjoy that we don't even notice that money is missing, right? And so I think
Well,
that
right, because time is money, right? And so if I'm trying to capture more of that time back for my experiences, I would rather give up a little bit of money. I don't mow my own yard. I don't clean my own house. I mean, I do like the daily pickup and stuff, but
sure.
yeah, I pay somebody else to do that because the last thing that I want to do after a full work week, after driving teenagers around, is mopping floors or dusting the shelves or cleaning toilets. Like, I don't want to do that. And there is someone who does. She made a career out of it, and I will gladly pay her to do it.
Mhm.
And not only that, that person loves the opportunity and appreciates it. So sometimes we think like, oh, I'm a super mom or a super worker or super whatever. You know what? Allowing people to use their strengths and their gifts and to pay them for their services is a great way to build community and connection as well. So
Yeah.
I know for me, I have to like shed that mom guilt that I can do everything and be like, hey, I'm bringing you into my fold or my community. Like, let's all help each other. And maybe I have strengths that I can share with people that I meet along the way on how they can build their business or be more efficient or introduce them to more customers in the neighborhood, that kind of thing.
No, and I love that too. I never really thought about it. I guess that this is a good boundary that I have already set. Like, I don't want to do things that I don't want to do, and I'm happy to do things that I want to do. So, for instance, my bonus kids, their mom is involved in all of their, with the swim team and like she does all those things and she likes to volunteer her time and be there. And so I will go to every single swim meet, but I don't want to volunteer, right? But instead, I'm like,
Mhm.
I will design the t-shirts. I will, I'll do these things that I want to do. And they're like, let us pay you. And I'm like, no, just don't ask me to cook cheeseburgers at the swim meet, like,
Yeah.
and we'll be even because we have our places that we like, things that we like to do. And actually, I've never asked her. Maybe she hates all of it. It doesn't seem like it. It seems like she thrives in it. But it's like she wants to volunteer. I really don't. I'd rather be doing something creative or, like, so it's like I would love to help out the swim team with this thing. And please don't
Yeah.
pay me for it. These are my volunteer hours, right? And so it can touch every part of your life. You can set these boundaries in every part of your life. And we're never going to be able to get to a spot where we are just like, I only do things that are fun. Sorry. Like we
Yeah.
still have to do
Yeah.
some things that we don't want to do. But what if you cut out almost everything that you hate to
Yeah,
do?
you could minimize it though, right? To where when you do have to do hard things, it doesn't suck your soul dry,
Yeah.
right? Like, you still have some self to give.
Yeah, I think we
Changes
all just
everything.
need time and space in our lives for that receiving and understanding because I do feel like we're running, we're on social media, we're working, and sometimes just sitting in silence or decompressing. Those are the times where our wheels are going to start turning and be like, Elena, you're oversubscribed, right? What can you say no to? But when you're doing all the things, you're like programming your body and your adrenaline and your hormones and everything that, like, this is my steady state,
Yeah,
and it
you're on
really shouldn't
autopilot.
be. Yeah. So, how do you slow down and listen not only to your body, but other people around you on, how to find that space and time to understand where your passions are and how to tap into those more?
I love that so much. All of it. I love this conversation. We talk a
Me
lot
too.
about boundaries and figuring out how to find your happy and minimize burnout and all of those things, but we've gotten to the root of some stuff today. It's like we know that we should go
Yeah.
Yeah.
and find something that we enjoy doing, but I feel better about knowing how you figure out what that is and not just that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love for you to dig into a few small steps that people could do to kind of find themselves outside of their job again and start to feel more like themselves again.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the first piece I wanted to mention is having a conversation with somebody that you really know and trust about how you're feeling at work. Sometimes the therapy or the finding the passion or feeling more settled just comes to like getting it out. So, I think sometimes as women, we listen to other people's challenges and problems and offer solutions, but sometimes we don't say, "Hey, I'm going through something. I think I'm having an identity crisis at work. Could you like hear me out on a few things?" So I think that's really a simple way. A lot of people after that exercise are like, "Whew, I feel better. I'm normal." Like that resonated. Yeah. So the second piece is to do some self reflecting on how you're feeling, where you may be lacking purpose or passion in your life. And for some people, it's writing it out on paper. For some people, it's typing. I have some clients that actually do a voice note while they're walking and just kind of vent into the voice note and listen back to it later. But oftentimes, you can listen or read back on that frustration and then ask yourself, what am I making this mean? Or can I turn this into something different? And so I think setting aside that time to reflect and understand will help you eventually restore that part of yourself that you're frustrated about, or maybe you forgot. So, really ensuring that you take the time to tap into your passions so that they're not distractions, but they're telling you where you have that space to grow.
I love it.
It sounds like you just really have to spend some time with yourself and listen and get to like recenter. And for so many people, um, in I want to say the corporate world, but it's like in any world, right? In your normal day-to-day
Mhm.
life, whether you're a mom or, a soccer coach or whatever, we keep ourselves so busy that there is no
Yeah,
time to feel the things. Like you see the effects of it, but you're not processing what or why it's happening. So just slowing down and being conscious of what the heck is going on is going to change everything. You said something prior to the podcast that I want you to dive in a little bit deeper on
sure.
because I think this is potentially a light bulb moment. You said your joy is strategic. Your passions aren't distractions, they're data. What excites you is showing you where you're meant to grow. Following these sparks is how you realign, rebuild, and become visible again to yourself and to the world. Like, first of all, very profound statements that you make in that. But, like, if joy is strategic, what kind of mindset, like, where do you have to be to go, okay, I want to feel joy. I want to be happy. How do you put one foot in front of the other and go, this is my path. This is how I get there?
Yeah, I would say again, starting with that why. So, why do I want to be joyful? And maybe the answer is when people meet me, I want them to feel happiness or a spark. Or maybe if I'm happy, I'll produce more at work and be a top performer. So I think understanding why do you want that outcome of joy and then putting in the steps to grow in that way is going to be easier than like, gosh, I wish I were happy, or, maybe I need therapy or a magic wand. I think it's like, I'm going after this goal of joy because A, B, and C. And what those A, B, and C are is really telling you those are the places I need to invest my time and where I need to grow. Like, those are the pieces that I need to either rebuild or be more visible on.
That's amazing. You
It's the
also
light
said
bulbs for me.
something. Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. We're gonna go back. That's amazing. I I love that so much. I love also that part of that about the joy was finding your identity again. And I know that I'm hitting on this a whole bunch of times. I keep talking about it, but I lost myself so bad in corporate. Like I was
Mhm.
my job. And it wasn't a real huge problem, right? But it didn't feel good to me. Right. Like it didn't affect
Yeah.
my life in too many crazy ways. I mean, the job in itself, just traveling so much affected my personal life. But I was like, it's fine. I'm good at this. I don't mind this being my identity. But when I decided I needed to quit, I had nothing, like
Yeah. That's the thing is it's like when it doesn't work out, then what are you left with?
because that's what I needed to be then a person. And obviously, I was a friend and a daughter and an aunt and all of these things, but part-time, very part-time, and I had to figure out who I was, right? I didn't have you to tell me how to do that, and so it was slow moving. But I think that also, I mean, Mandy and I did a lot. I mean, and we talk about it all the time that we do a lot of accountability for each other, and we figure
Yes,
out why we feel the way that we
We
feel.
do.
And we probably dissect everything. I bet that if we brought your girls on here, they'd be like, oh my gosh, all they talk about is their damn feelings all the time and why they feel the way that they feel. You know what I mean? But I think that it's so important to have that person. What happens if somebody doesn't have a person and they're not getting anywhere with the kind of self-reflection? Because I'm sure that that's not easy for everyone to do the self-reflection all on their.
Yeah.
I would say for those of us that have that insight, if you notice somebody's struggling with it, maybe we're the ones to pull them out of that vortex. One person comes to mind for me that I coached, and he had a really hard time moving past a certain piece of the job search and going on to the other, and just slowing down and mentioning to somebody like, hey, I see you're really struggling with that. Is there something that you want to talk about that's deeper than this? Or can you tell me a little bit more about how you're feeling stuck? Because I think when we can read other people and know that maybe they're struggling with something, maybe we can help pull them through, and just ask them questions or say, hey, can I introduce you to a few people I met that I think may help you rediscover something? I think that's something I do as part of the coaching, but I also did it organically throughout my career. And it sounds like both of you as well have that connection with each other to understand, hey, this really upset me. What about this? For people that aren't outwardly showing those feelings or have somebody that they trust, can we show up a little bit differently in like that mentorship role and ask like, what are you going through and how can I help? And I think in today's world we forget to like, get our olive branches out sometimes when other people are struggling.
Yeah, it's funny because in this conversation we talk about like leaning on your friends and asking those trusted people, but the flip side of that is like be a freaking friend, right? Like if you
Mhm.
need those people to lean on, you've got to be that person for somebody else too. And I mean, I think that's where the magic between Mandy and I really comes in is that, it's not one-sided, right? Like the trauma dumping is coming, it's a two-way flow, right?
Yes.
It's not too heavy for either one of us because we are both carrying the weight of one person. It's just partly yours and partly mine because you've got part of mine and I've got part of yours. So it's still very equal. And if you are in that place where you're going to need a friend and somebody to lean on and be able to give that advice or just carry part of the weight of the world with you, got to be able to take that on too. And sometimes maybe that first step is to go find somebody or, just open your eyes in your life at somebody that you can help and support. And I don't know about you guys, but I can tell you that when my focus becomes off of me and onto helping somebody else meeting their needs, or like I find joy in making somebody else feel better or doing
Me
something
too.
for somebody else. And I don't think that I focus on that enough. So I think that's really insightful advice when it comes to like, to back to your statement, like your joy is strategic. Like giving somebody else joy just cultivates more in you.
Yeah, but that's actually really, really interesting that you bring up, because I have talked to people who are like, well, I didn't want to inconvenience you. And I'm like, what you don't understand about me is that I need to be needed. And so freaking ask me for the help, you know? But so many people don't want to inconvenience somebody. So take this time to ask somebody if they would like to be a partner with you in this. And because they might really like to help you too. And even if they're like, it doesn't bring me joy to help you, but I'll help you if you help me, and we'll be accountability
Yeah.
partners. I don't know. And if you don't have anyone, Mandy said that she will help anybody who needs help and she'll listen. Um,
I just got
She'll go,
voluntold by the other Mandy. It's fine.
she'll take you
Listen,
to sound
my
healing.
friend
It'll be
basket
good.
is not full, so call me.
so, but Elena can definitely be someone. If you don't have somebody, she can definitely be somebody who can help go through this with you, because she's the expert
Yes.
now
Yeah.
helping people do this. So, can you tell us, how do you help clients rediscover joy while still working demanding jobs and balancing family commitments? Like, give us tell us exactly what you do to help them.
Yeah, absolutely. I do a lot of getting to know people on the front end about what does your work day look like? What does your home life look like? Where do you feel like you're missing a spark or needing to tap into something? And then, as I mentioned before, when we talk about I want to find joy or passion in a certain area, maybe it's a feeling of loneliness. So tapping into, are there different networking events in your career field that might be helpful? Or maybe the feeling is overwhelm and something like yoga would be helpful. So I think part of my like empathy and intuitive nature is not only reading somebody on like what they're overdoing, but what they may be underdoing. And then I think setting some small goals to say like, hey, how about you go to that tailgate party for St. Louis City and let me know how that goes. And it's kind of fun to get an action item from a coach that's like, go to a soccer game or
Yeah,
maybe
go have
try
fun.
yoga. Yeah. And I always leave it with like, maybe you'll wake up and not feel great. But I think having that gentle courage to say, somebody listened to me and understands why I'm out of balance, and they suggested some things. Usually we make a lot of traction when someone comes back and they're like, oh my gosh, that cooking class was amazing, because when I think about finding joy, for me, it's like, is it something I need to see? Is it something I need to hear? Is it something I need to feel or experience? And oftentimes that's a counterbalance. Mandy, all you were saying, like, I people all day. I'm talking and I'm listening. So maybe that unplugging for you is like not with your eyes, right? Or not with your voice. It's another aspect. So I don't think there's like a magic formula to it, but I think helping people to understand what's out of balance and giving them like very small steps to take before like completely revolutionizing their lives, small steps build new habits.
Yeah, absolutely. It is the hardest to put yourself first and to make changes in your life, right? Because I can say, I mean, I want to go walking every single day and go to yoga and do all of these things because I know that they are good for me and I know that I'll be happier after I do them. But, let myself down quite a bit. Can you give us an example of somebody who was out of whack, out of balance with their life, and you worked with them and now look at them go, right? I want people to leave with something in their head of like, okay, maybe I can do this. Maybe it does work to take these small steps and then just be the person that they want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So I definitely want to keep like client anonymity top of mind. That's always a hard
Always.
word to say, anonymity.
That
I
is a
think I
hard
did
word.
okay.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, yeah. And so I talked to somebody that was really wanting to get out of their current career and move into something that was more joyful and more connected to her essence and her purpose. So, one thing we identified through talking is that she loves fashion. She doesn't necessarily have a fashion degree or have worked a ton in fashion, but we decided based upon her skill sets and experience, something to do with fashion is where it's going to be. And I learned the why from her, and the why was really around the creative nature of like how clothes make you feel and the different colors and how they can be designed. And so I also learned from her that community is part of it too, because we don't just like put on a nice outfit and go stand by ourselves in the closet, right? It's like usually having to do, well, you could, it could be fun, but usually it has to do with like going somewhere, going out to dinner and helping her tap into that extroverted nature to say like, there are careers out there that you can be social and, not only have a fashion sense, but help others around you have a fashion sense. So we actually worked together to tailor her resume to be like fashion forward. And what's so interesting is once you put your like hobbies or passions on paper on your resume, it's so interesting how that like starts to attract those type of opportunities.
Mhm.
So she actually went shopping last weekend for a whole new outfit, had a interview for a very fashion forward company that was looking for somebody in the operational space. So for this example specifically, what I wanted to share is like what you put out there is what you're going to attract. So if you're like secretly hoping that you are going to be a yogi and find inner peace, right? It has to be something that you put out there that you want to
Yeah.
learn. So what you said earlier in the podcast is like, hey, Mandy, she wants to do more like hippy dippy things, right? So you're probably going to get a call or an email or see an ad in the paper that that's going to happen. So what I really wanted to share is kind of a takeaway is don't shy away from using a hobby or a passion to line up the next step in your career and figure out a way to tie that into what you're doing in your role, and your people will find you. They're going to be attracted to what you have to say, and just stay true to yourself and understand that those small steps will make a big difference, and taking the time to receive and learn and tie in your passions and your work together are going to make you the happiest version of you.
I think that that is incredible
Mhm.
advice, and you are so right. You can't secretly want things and expect the universe to throw it out at you if you haven't put it out there that that's what you're looking for. It
Hmm.
won't happen.
You bet.
Can you tell people where to find you? If somebody is like, I need to find my passion and my purpose outside of work, or I need a full career coach to help me figure out what's next and help me get my resume ready and help me move
Yeah,
in the
I
right
want Elena
direction.
to be my best friend to help me to my next
Hmm.
step.
Aw. That's
Yes,
so sweet. Thank you so much for the invitation to chat today. I really enjoyed both of you immensely. So for anyone that wants to get in touch with me, you can go to my website, changeravenllc.com, and there's an opportunity to book a complimentary clarity call with me. So that's the call where I'm like, hey, how are you? And where are you stuck?
Yeah,
And that's the conversation where we really dig into the nitty gritty, juicy stuff and also how I might be able to help.
that's
very
amazing.
cool. Well, thank you
This
so
was
much for
so
being
good.
on
Thank
with us
you.
today. It really was. It really was. And it's funny. It's like these things, these conversations like make me feel so dense sometimes because it's all so simple, right? There's nothing hard and complex about it. You just have to slow down, pay attention.
There you go. That's the episode right there.
Yeah,
Slow down and pay attention. That's
seriously.
a
And
wrap.
Hmm.
self-awareness,
Yeah.
self-awareness is a huge, huge game changer. If you can just slow down long enough to really look inward and take stock of what matters to you and what doesn't and align your life accordingly.
Yep.
Thank you so much. I
So
had a
good.
blast today. It was so great.
Well,
Yes.
thank
Thank you
you.
so much for joining us. And I can't wait for people to hear this. They're going to love it. They're going
I
to
I
love
hope
know.
it.
so. Thanks again. It was great to chat with you both. Thanks for the invitation to join.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.